Hello there, and welcome to Weather or Not. The weather is cool, and the seasons looked geared up to change already. This week, we'll talk about the fall foliage season and about how September weather affects the colors that we get to see in October. Speaking of sights, we'll touch on the fireball in the night sky over Alabama this past Monday and the launch of the NASA LADE spacecraft. Always keeping our gaze in the sky, but our feet on the ground, we also have news on a California wildfire that was close to the city of San Francisco and tropical storm-induced mudslides in Mexico. The show is packed and the weather is nice, so sit back and relax for this week's episode of Weather or Not. Hello and welcome to Weather or Not. I'm your host, Tom Bedard.
And I'm your forecaster, Travis Patterson.
Travis, the weather this past week has been incredibly warm. At least speaking of last Tuesday and Wednesday, we were getting close and even touching 90 degrees, and I tell you, I was breaking a sweat in between classes.
Yes, I'm sure many of the students here are breaking a sweat, but everyone across the Mid-Atlantic region, several 90s reported on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's good 15 degrees above average, but this weekend we'll be on the opposite side of that extreme, with temperatures 10 degrees below normal. Get you geared up for football season, though.
That's right, and this Saturday we do have a night game. Penn State football has a night game, that'll be around 6 o'clock, and so if your forecast of cool temperatures holds true, we might have to start bringing out the sweatshirts, or at least the Penn State sweatshirts for the game. Now, enough about Penn State for now. Let's turn it over to Nature in the News. The Mount Diablo State Park in Central California is the latest location of another Golden State wildfire. Taking after its namesake, the Mount Diablo fire was whipped together by dry, warm, and fast winds. The wind fueling the fire was so quick that at one point, while the fire was burning, it burned the landscape at a rate of 500 acres per hour. The fire lies between the cities of Antioch and Danville, California, both of which are in close proximity to San Francisco. The fire began Monday, September 9th and required a large response from wildland fire crews. Crews worked on the Mount Diablo fire through the night but were only able to contain the fire 20%. By Tuesday evening, however, they were able to achieve 45% containment of the 5-square-mile blaze. The team of 1,100 firefighters continue to fight the fire as 3,000 of their counterparts still battle the rim fire in Yosemite National Park. The Mount Diablo fire, nearly halfway contained and taking up a significantly smaller area than the rim fire, has prompted the evacuation of 600 homeowners in Central California.
After the fire subsides, mudslides and flash floods become a surviving community's primary threat. As fire scorches the agriculture and soil, it lowers the amount of moisture that is able to be absorbed during a heavy rain event. A mudslide occurs when rain causes loose sediment, gravel, and soils to be displaced and washed down an incline, collecting more debris as it travels. In Veracruz, Mexico, landslides have caused the deaths of at least 8 individuals. The state of Veracruz has not seen significant wildfire activity, but instead was experiencing a hazard common to the late summer months, tropical storms. Although news on tropical activity has been low for the 2013 hurricane season, at least until this week, activity is beginning to reach the average maximum. Tropical Storm Ferdinand and Tropical Depression 8 have drenched Veracruz in the preceding days, making the area vulnerable to any amount of precipitation. In the month of September alone, 13 have lost their lives in the Mexican state due to hazards related to heavy rains. The Atlantic and Pacific hurricane seasons are not yet close to ending, and neither is a chance of additional storms.
The sky was ablaze in Alabama this past Monday, September 9th, as a fireball fell from the sky and landed onto one of 4 NASA meteor monitoring cameras. This meteor, or fireball, appeared in the sky around 8:18 Eastern Daylight Time and was gone in a flash. The object officially named a fireball by NASA scientists because it was brighter than the surface of Venus. NASA video and commentary on the event went on to relate the brightness of the object, which was on the size of a baseball or bowling ball, to be more similar to that of the moon in the night sky. Needless to say, the event caused quite a bit of commotion as it struck the upper reaches of Earth's atmosphere at speeds exceeding 73,000 miles per hour.
If you had your eye to the southeastern portion of the State College sky last Friday, you would have seen another fiery sight. This one, however, was headed toward the moon. The NASA spacecraft Lade lifted off from a launch site in Virginia this past Friday with one mission in mind: to return to the moon to study lunar atmosphere and dust. The spacecraft used an unmanned Minotaur 5 rocket to launch for Virginia and begin its path to the moon, which would take it around the Earth 3 full times. The rocket, which is a converted intercontinental ballistic missile, was able to propel the 844-pound car-sized spacecraft into the lunar orbit from the NASA Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. The craft will reach the moon in approximately 1 month.
While we wait for the Lade spacecraft to reach the moon in the next month, we'll begin to see fall foliage kick into high gear. Well, hopefully that is. Kathy Matthews, an associate professor of botany at Western Carolina University, has researched foliage in the Appalachian Mountains every fall. She says that the key component of a brilliantly colored foliage season is September weather. If there are too many overcast, rainy, and overall dreary days, trees will not be able to produce an adequate amount of sugars to create a brilliant fall. If the weather, however, is clear and cool, trees will be able to produce this adequate amount of sugars to provide us with the brilliant colors we come to expect out of fall. As we cross our fingers for a phenomenal foliage season, let's find out what the weather has in store for us with Travis.
Well, Tom, the forecast for this weekend actually looks conducive to seeing some vibrant fall foliage colors here in central Pennsylvania. That's thanks to some very crisp, cool, and dry nights ahead. Let's take a look at the setup for this weekend. Starting with Friday, the front that pushed through the state on Thursday, sparking off some heavy thunderstorms, will be well off the coast, and we will be left in this northwesterly flow behind it, pumping in some drier, cooler air. Cool aloft, but the lakes are still relatively warm for this time of year, so we could actually see the first signs of some lake-enhanced showers along the northwestern zones of Pennsylvania. Some of these showers could trickle into center Pennsylvania on Friday afternoon, but it'll be very breezy nonetheless. Gusting winds upwards of 15 to 20 miles per hour on Friday afternoon, so a cool, brisk day ahead on Friday. Going into Saturday, a high pressure system will be building off to the south and west, and it will be the dominant weather influence on Saturday, keeping everything cool and calm, but it will also be sunny. But Friday and Saturday do look chilly and great for hoodie weather this weekend. But going into Sunday, the high pressure moves farther to the south and east, and a bit more southerly flow could lead to a pleasant end to the weekend. But notice off to the north and west, another front draping across the Great Lakes. That could be affecting us here by the beginning of next week. I'll have more details on that coming up in the extended forecast in just a bit. But Friday, look how chilly it is, only getting up to 62 degrees in the afternoon hours. It'll be breezy out there, gusty, upwards of 20 miles per hour, so definitely bring those hoodies because it could feel like it's in the 50s on Friday afternoon. Could be dealing with a few lake effect showers on Friday afternoon. Hold on to those hoodies Friday night, getting down to 46 degrees, and we'll also be clearing out overnight into Friday. But another chilly day ahead on Saturday, only getting up to 66 degrees, but a bit different from Friday. We'll see mostly sunny skies, but still a bit chilly out there. And Penn State is taking on UCF, but it's a night game. So my suggestion is to bring a hoodie along to the game, because look at this temperature Saturday night, getting down to 41 degrees. Some of the valley locations could even tip into the upper 30s overnight into Saturday. Going into Sunday, however, a pleasant end to the weekend, getting up to 72 degrees with mostly sunny skies. Tyler Jankoski is up next with a feature on the Munsen tornado in Massachusetts.
You said there was one house here that...
There was a house here, but that one never get rebuilt. See when they say for sale there? I guess some people don't want to come back, you know.
June 1st marked the 2-year anniversary of a devastating EF3 tornado in central Massachusetts. The tornado was on the ground for 39 miles, first touching down in Westfield, Massachusetts, and not lifting off the ground until Charlton, Massachusetts. In the middle of the tornado's path was Munsen, as you see here behind me. The tornado was at its strongest point just east of Munsen, a half-mile wide, packing winds of 160 miles per hour. The Massachusetts EMA confirmed 3 fatalities and 72 injuries. Now, 2 years later, the cleanup continues here in Munsen. Denise Vadnais, a State Street resident in Munsen, recalls what the landscape used to look like looking west from Bethany Road.
All those houses on top there, none of, you could see any of them. That was just forest. That's how they built there, because they didn't want to be seen.
And even though the tornado struck more than 2 years ago, vivid memories of the day are still too easy to find in the community.
Now, because the sirens were so loud in the house, we had to get out. And that would just happen. And people come in from the police station over there. And they say, careful, this boy, you're still alive. So we're careful. We didn't, there was some house and a tree. And then some people had called the ambulance, and the ambulance can't go by. So the policeman got a bulldozer and bulldozer the street. They get the house out of the way, so at least the ambulance can go by. Many homes and businesses have been rebuilt since the twister. In fact, Munsen Center appears to be back to normal when you look south along Route 32. But a quick glance around reveals that many properties are still torn apart. As for Denise, she considers herself one of the lucky ones.
You didn't have any damage at your place?
We have damage, but not serious damage. Like in my car, I have a tree through the window, you know, a branch and stuff. But it was so powerful. Big tree like this, the roots out completely, poof, you know.
Well, that's the latest on the cleanup and recovery efforts here in Munsen, Massachusetts. For Weather or Not, I'm Tyler Jankoski.
Well, before we look at the forecast for next week, let's recap the chill that will be in place in our region this weekend. Starting with Friday, only getting up to a chilly 62 degrees on Friday afternoon, a good 10 degrees below average for this time of year. We could even see the first signs of some lake-enhanced showers trickle into Central County on Friday afternoon. It'll also be breezy out there, folks, a good 15 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts. So grab those hoodies if you're out and about Friday. Keep them on for Friday night as well, getting down to 46 degrees. Saturday will also be a cool one, getting up to 66 degrees, but Saturday afternoon will be filled with some sunshine. But once the winds calm and we go into the evening hours Saturday night, our temperatures will drop down to a chilly 41 degrees. Some of the valley locations could even bottom out in the upper 30s Saturday night into Sunday. But a good end to the weekend, with Sunday topping out at around 72 degrees and mostly sunny skies. Going into next week, we get another shot of some cooler air, not as dramatic as we've seen this weekend, but still we'll keep our temperatures a bit below average for the start of the week. Could see some scattered showers into the picture on Monday afternoon, but going into Tuesday and Wednesday, it'll be dry and pleasant, and we start to see a warm up by Thursday into Friday with a return of some more humid air, temperatures in the upper 70s, and another round of showers to end out next week.
And Travis, the weather for next week really does look like we're getting close to fall.
Yeah, you'll see a little bit of crisp in the air, right around average, and it'll noticeably be drier by midweek, but a little bit of humidity returns by the end of next week.
Well, keeping that forecast in mind and bringing back the memory of the nature in the news story about fall foliage, let's turn now to the answer of this week's Weather Whiz quiz. The Weather Whiz quiz this week was, when does the fall foliage typically peak in State College? A, late September, B, early October, C, late October, or D, early November? And the answer is B, early October. Travis, we only have about a month left until we start seeing the brilliant colors exploding out of the trees on campus, and I tell you, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, there are some great locations around central Pennsylvania to catch some great fall foliage out there in the mountains of the Susquehanna and the Appalachians around here. Also in the Laurel Highlands region, just great mountain views if you want to take a hike one weekend.
You know, I think now might be a good time for me to go outside and check out some of these spots for next month. That does it now for this week's episode. I'm your host, Tom Bedard.
And I'm your forecaster, Travis Patterson.
Go Penn State.